Yo guys, what is going on? It's your boy ToonGaming and welcome back to the channel. Okay, so I've heard the call, guys. I've heard your call. I've got so many messages from so many of you asking so many different things about editing, graphics, thumbnails, which software do you use, so much. So guys, over the next several weeks I'm going to be pushing out videos for you guys to help you make your clips pop, stand out from the others, and of course help grow your platforms. So guys, today's video is just going to be a very basic editing guide. We're going to be downloading an editing software today, and then we're going to be going over how you can maneuver within that editing software. Then I'm going to cover on how you can get your footage into the software, and then how we can edit it and use techniques to make those clips pop. After we've inputted our footage and we've edited our footage, I'm then going to show you how you can export your footage out of the software so then you can use it on your Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, wherever you want your content to be. Right guys, if this is your first time using a piece of editing software, then do not bug out, do not stress. I'm going to be talking you through it all the way. I know how it can be when you're getting yourself into a new piece of editing software. Everything's all over the place and you're just like, wow, this is crazy. But guys, just remember, you can always rewind the video and just take your time working through it. Alright guys, let's not waste no more time. Guys, if you can, go and smash that subscribe button for your boy, and let's get straight into the video. Right, welcome back guys. So yes, let's get started. So the first thing we're going to need is an editing program, a software that you can use to do the job. So we've got this program here called Shotcut. Okay, the link is going to be in the bio of this video, so make sure you click that. It's going to bring you to this website, and yeah, we're going to download it. So you want to head over to where it says downloads, and then yeah, of course, just install it for your operating system, what you got at home. So mine is 64-bit, so we'll pop on this and it's going to start to download. All right, so let's get that downloaded. So guys, once your download is finished, yes, just open it up. You want to double click it and just install it onto your computer. Nice, so you have Shotcut installed now, which is awesome. And once you load it up, this is the screen it's going to present you with. So just a quick rundown, the project folder. So this is basically where your videos are going to be sent to. So any project that you do here, it's going to save like a file which you can come back to later on a later date, and this is where it's going to be saved. So if you want to change it, you can just click on it and just change it to where you want your stuff to be saved. The project name is what you're going to call this project. So for today, I think I've already created one over here called YouTube training, so we'll click that in a sec. And then the video mode is obviously what you've recorded at. So if you've recorded on OBS or on Twitch, just make sure you know if it's going to be a 1080p or 720p, what frames per second that you used as well on those softwares, and make sure it matches, and then yeah, you go ahead. So we've got YouTube training and we're going to click on this now. Alright guys, so when you first get into Shotcut, it's going to look like this, what you're seeing on my screen now. Obviously down at the bottom is your timeline, so this is where your videos will be and your audio, etc. On the left is your playlist, so any clips that you want to import will be in this direction, and then the black screen that you have is your project. You have a project, which is what you're viewing, the work that you're actually working on, and then you'll have the source, which will be videos that you've inputted in, so you can cut through the source and then you extract it to your project. But don't get too drawn into that at the moment, just showing you where everything. Right guys, so you're in the project now and you want to get your content in. Now depending on where your content is, some people, if you're getting your clips from Twitch for example, you're downloading them straight from Twitch, then they're going to be in your downloads folder. For me, I do Twitch and I also record on OBS, so I have like a folder where all my recordings from OBS go. So you want to navigate where that is. So what we're going to do is we're going to hit open file at the top left, and we're going to find the directory of where our videos are. For today's clip, let's use this one, not for Wakanda. Alright, there you go guys. So your clip has now been dragged into Shotcut, and you can see it here as we spoke earlier on the source and the project. Your source is now here. This is the clip that you've just put. Now guys, now your clip's in, it depends on what you're actually editing. So for today's sake, we're doing like a short clip, and this clip's going to be used for promoting like a content on Instagram for example. Like just a short funny clip that happened, something happened in my gameplay, and I just want to take a small portion of that clip out. So I'm going to show you how that you can do that on Shotcut. One thing that I'm going to mention now, if you've just got Shotcut now, before we actually move on, at the top here, I want you to go to where it says settings, and here there's something that's called real-time frame dropping. Now you might have that ticked. What I want you to do is to untick that, because what that allows you to do is when you're watching through your footage now, you won't get no sort of frames dropping, so it won't lag. There won't be like a stutter. That was something that I was experiencing when I first got it, and I was like, what the hell is this? I don't know how to fix it, and then I done some research and I figured it out. So just make sure that this is unticked, and it just makes your workflow like 10 times easier. Right guys, now we got the clip in and we're on the source file. What we want to do is we want to scrub through this timeline to find out when the actual footage happens, the footage that we want to show. When does it actually happen? If you know whereabouts it happens, then that's great. You can sort of click and navigate straight to it. If not, just scrub through it. So I think this clip that we're watching now, this is where I want it to start. So when you found the start point on your video, what you want to do is you want to tap I on your keyboard, and that stands for in. You're going to mark an in point of where you want the video to begin. So I'm going to tap I now, right here. There we go. And then as you see, the time frame is now moved all the way to this point of the video where I want it to start. And then we're going to tap spacebar on your keyboard. That's going to play the video, or you can click play here, and it's going to run the video now. So you're watching this in real time. Okay.
Now the Bruin's been nerfed, like this is the best. I think it's the best LMG.
Enemy soldier incoming.
What? Again?
Let's go, Nick.
All right.
Silly boy.
Yeah.
You are not for Wakanda.
There we go. And then I'll press pause, so space again to pause, and then I'm gonna press O now to mark an out point. So guys, just to recap what we just done here, we've put footage in and we've learned how to mark in and out points on a piece of footage. Okay, right guys, so now you've marked your in and out point on that clip, and therefore you can actually extract that single segment of the clip onto the timeline now. So what we're going to want to do is down here, I've already created one, but I'll show you how I've done it. Let's remove this. You're just going to right click on this timeline down here and click add a video track, and this is going to be labeled as V1 because you can add multiple tracks, but we'll get into stuff like that further down the line or different episodes. So yeah, we've got a video track now and we've got this clip. So all we're going to do is click with our left mouse and literally drag it down to this video clip. Right, so now what's happened now is that we've just taken that part of the clip that we created, we marked it in and out, and now that's on our timeline. So that is our project. So if you remember before, I was talking to you about projects and source. So we've got our project here, this is our project timeline, and then if we click source, it's going to show us back to the video footage, so we can go and clip more videos or more content. But let's stay on track and we'll focus on what we're working. Right guys, so one thing that I wanted to mention is once you've taken your clip and you've added it onto your timeline now, this is the perfect opportunity for you to do some trimming. Now what I mean by that is, let's say for example the start of the clip is a bit too long and you didn't want it, you're like, oh damn, I don't want this to be that long. We can literally do our in and outs again. So if I scrub through my video and I'm like, this is actually not where I want it to start, we can find a part on the timeline where we want it to start, and we can create a split. So we can either press S or click this button here, and what that's going to do is it's going to split our footage. So we have two parts of the footage now. We can click on the one that we don't want to use and then press delete on the keyboard, and then it's gone. Okay, so our clip will now start from here. So all we're going to do is work through our clip and just trim areas that you don't want to use. Okay, and normally trimming is at the front and the end of your... Right guys, awesome. So we've got our clip here and we've trimmed it. I'm just going to left click and drag this to the start of the timeline, and as we watch it through now, it's much better. I've trimmed it to where the footage is exactly going to happen. I don't have to wait like a good 20 seconds before the moment happens. You get the kill.
Silly boy.
And I think I have my comments that I make.
Wakanda.
Yep. And then literally that's where I want it to end. So that's perfect, like for me. And whatever you're editing right now, you should do the same, because you got to think about it, guys. When people watch these clips on whatever platform you're promoting it on, they want to see the stuff straight away. They don't want to be dragging their heels and like, oh, when's something gonna happen? You want to show them right off the bat what. Now, how can we make this clip pop a little bit. Okay, so for a clip like this, the most important thing, guys, is when you do have a piece of footage, you want to make sure there's parts in the footage that you can be creative around. Let's say, for example, so in this clip here, let's say, for example, when I shoot him out the sky again, okay, right here. So I've shot him out the sky. Now, when you play this normally, it's just a normal clip of a guy being shot out the sky. You know, you see him fall to the ground. Cool. Some people might like that. But how can you make it a bit pop? Now, straight away on the screen, if you play Warzone or Modern Warfare, things like the text that's coming up, it says down, team wiped, you know. So we can make a small edit here where we can zoom in to where it says team wipe and then zoom back out, back into the footage. Just that split second, but it makes the video much better. So let me show you how we can do that right. So what we're going to do is we're going to play the footage back, and then we're going to try and freeze it on the frame where we see the big text just about to appear. So you can click through and scrub through, but if you want to scrub through with fine margins, your arrow keys on the keyboard, you can use the right and left, and it's going to just do frame by frame what's happening. You see that? Cool. So what I want is, as I shoot him out the sky, like here, just before the big team white comes up, I want to make a split. So remember we talked about the split? So we're going to go to our split tool or press S, and we're going to split that footage. Now you got to remember, I only want this to zoom in for maybe 2 seconds max, you know, just to show the team wipe and then come back out. So what we're going to do is we're going to play it for about 2 seconds, or you can scrub through, and then we're going to make another split. So now we split our footage. We have 3 different parts of the footage here, but we want to work on the one in the middle. That's what we've just cut out basically. So I'm going to scroll this to zoom in. This is like you can zoom into your timeline. We're going to scrub through, and then we're going to find that clip. Now we're on the clip here. Okay, so we can just run it back. Yeah, perfect. So we're on this clip, and what we're going to want to do now, guys, is we're going to want to add a filter onto this specific clip. So make sure you got the clip selected at the bottom, and then we're going to click filters up here. All right, then we're going to come over to this plus sign, and then we're going to look for rotate and scale. Okay guys, don't get too drawn in with the filters at the moment. We can sort of go through them like slowly on the different episodes, but let's focus on how we're going to achieve this zoom in effect, for example. And this is quite an important effect to learn because you can use it for so many different things as well. So rotate and scale, guys, you want to whack rotate. Now when you're using rotate and scale, sometimes you can click, and what that does is you can see like I drag it all the way up, you're going to zoom all the way in, all the way down. Okay, but what we want to do is, let's just whack that back to 0, sorry, 100%. Yeah, what we're going to want to do is, we know that we want to zoom into where it says team wiped. Okay, so how far do we want to zoom in? So you can play with this. So if I say 200%, that's what I normally go by, but I might want it to be even more or a bit less. 200% is fine, but what you'll notice is it might not be in the middle of your screen, and ideally you do want things central, like people are focusing on the middle point of the screen. That's where I want them to see it when it pops. So we'll go at 200%, so that's just zoomed in. Now your X and Y axis, that's like your horizontal and your vertical axes. So the best thing to do here is you can click slowly, and you'll see that it will start to move the actual image. You can't click and drag, but if you want to get it sort of like dead center, I'd say highlight the number and then use the up and down arrow keys to move these numbers slowly, and you get it to a position where you're sort of happy with. Okay, so on the X offset, I'm gonna just move it right about there, and then for your Y, bring it down just a little bit like there. Boom. So what we'll do now is we'll run it back and see how it looks. So shot out the sky, boom. Okay, so as you see, that made the video like pop straight away because it's something that's happened. We zoom in, we see the team wipe, and then we come straight back out. And like you can do things like, you can even add like sound effects on to like, for example, when he comes out of, when he gets dropped out the sky and it zooms in, you could put like a funny sound effects over that 1 second clip that we've zoomed into to make it even pop even more, but we won't get too muddled up with sound. Right guys, so now that we've done our sort of rotate and scale filter, I'm just going to show you another example of how we can use the rotate scale feature as well. So for example, if you do use, like for me, when I stream, I'm using a webcam, and I'm just going to show you how you can sort of use it to zoom into other areas and how they can be useful. So in this clip here, after I've killed the guy, you'll see that I start to talk, and
You are not for Wakanda.
Yeah, I say you are not for Wakanda. Now that's a part where I want to highlight myself rather than so much me just standing over the body. I want people to see me saying the slur to the guy. So we're going to use the rotate and scale filter again on this, and the same process happens again. We're going to find the part where I'm about to say it, and then we're going to zoom into my webcam basically, or my guys. So I want to make another rotate and scale filter on one of the clips so we can zoom into the webcam, for example. So you want to make sure you got the clip selected. Always remember guys, because you're gonna have like multiple clips down here at, like when you're doing edits, so make sure you have the clip that has the footage on, and then we'll do the same thing. We're going to scrub through. One thing to look out for guys is sometimes when you're scrubbing through,
You are not.
if you want to know where it exactly starts, you can use your audio levels here as an indication to show you when you're about to start speaking. So if I scrub through slowly, you'll see that these go down. That means nothing's being said. But then as I go frame by frame, you can see that I'm saying something here. My mouth's actually moving. So we'll take it back about here, and I'm going to make a split right here. So split the clip, and if I press play now,
You are not for Wakanda.
you are not for Wakanda. Okay, so, and that's all we want. We actually only want to see me saying that certain part zoomed in. So then we're going to make another split here, and now what we've done is we've extracted a clip. We have our own separate clip for that, and then we can add the filter. Alright guys, so we're going to repeat the process of rotate and scale. So make sure that we've got our new clip selected here. We're going to go up to where it says filter, and then hit the plus sign and go to rotate and scale. So this time we want to change the scale. So before we done 200%, I don't think I want it that far zoomed in, so we're going to go with 150 maybe now. And then we're going to use the X and Y axis. So make sure you've highlighted the number, and just use your arrow keys, and we'll position where we want to see basically our camera on our frame. So yeah, right about there seems good to me. And then I'll go to the Y offset and scroll down just about there. So that looks good to me. So let's rewind this and we'll run it back and just see how that looks now.
Let's go, Nick. Good shit, bro.
Silly boy.
Yeah.
You are not for Wakanda.
Oh shit, I'm coming. Yeah, there you go guys. So you see how effective it is zooming in, and like I said, even when you do that, you can add like text onto that. For example, you can whack text on there. We're not going to get too indulged with that yet, but you get the drift of where we're getting at simple editing techniques that can make your video stand out. Guys, one thing that I wanted to get across here as well is with your clips, depending on what's going on in the clips, the more stuff that's happening in the clip, the more stuff you could be creative with. So for example, in this clip that we have, that's really what's happening. The guy got shot out of the air, and then you see me on the camera making a slur of "that is not Wakanda." So those are the two key elements within that clip, and that's why we focus on using our editing techniques around those clips. There's no point us using rotate and scale just for the sake of it. If you're following me on Instagram and you see my clips, you'll start to see this now in all my clips, anything that's going on. So look, for example, here I've just spotted something here that I can point out. So when we done the team wipe, or sorry, when I done the team wipe here, if you notice there's some text on the left where it says team wipe. It's got my name, ToonGaming, killed this guy, and team wipe. That is another area that you could have zoomed into. So we decided to zoom in on the middle where it says down team wipe with the text that flashes up, but you could also have done the same effect just simply zooming into where you see your name on the left when you're killing someone. it works the same way, guys. Just to recap again, so we've covered like your in and out markings on your project, getting the clips onto your timeline, and then on the timeline trimming the clip from left and right just to make sure you know where you really want it to start and where you want it to end. And then within that clip we made some splits on specific parts on the footage which is exciting or something that stands out, and we've used our rotate and scale filter on those clips to zoom into those areas to make the video pop a bit more. Now guys, some of you who don't edit just clips and you do like montages, or you have like long pieces of footage that you want to showcase, I'm going to show you how we could have added like more clips onto our timeline. For example, let's say for example you're doing a montage, or you just want to show a few clips of gameplay that you had. So in the clip that we're using for today, if we go back to the source, so this is where we originally started, where we made our ins and outs. What you can do is you can continue scrubbing through this to find out when you killed someone next, or when something exciting happened next. So I think in my case, after this we died and then I went into the gulag, and let's say for example I wanted to show myself in the gulag. Did I win? I think I won the gulag. Yeah, we did. So it'll be the same process, guys. We're back on our source now, and then we're gonna find when we start the gulag here, and I'm gonna mark it with an I, so in. We'll play it back. Oh, I was flashed as well. Nice. There you go.
I see through the flash.
Still watching.
Huh?
I made some comments, and then there we go. Out, in and out. So I've made my ins and outs again, and all we're gonna do is we're gonna come to the end of our clip here. If you think that you need to shrink this or make it smaller, just use the plus and minus and scale it down so you have more space on your timeline. And guys, we're gonna click and drag our new footage just onto the timeline here. Now you'll notice that we've dragged it in, there's a bit of a gap, so that's just going to be a black screen, and we want to fill that. So we'll hold onto our clip, click and drag, and we'll move it right to the end of that clip, and bosh, or add it here. So how it will work is, if you're watching it back now, you'll have the end of this clip here, and it'll fly straight into the next one. Okay, cool. So we're into this clip, and then we'll rinse and repeat. Do we need to trim it a bit? Does it start all right? You know, but most of the time you want to do your trimming when you're going through your source. So remember we talked about our source here. When we're actually on the source, this is where you want to make sure you've marked the in point at a correct place. It just saves you having to come back onto your timeline and then making trims there. You can just do it right here. So yeah, back to our project, and it'll be the same thing. I'll watch through this, you know, I'll look, is there any certain areas that I wanted to zoom in. I killed him there, and I noticed when I killed him straight away I'm laughing here. That might be something funny to show my viewers my reaction, so I could zoom in there by making a split, doing the rotate and scale into my camera. But yeah guys, you kind of get the drift on how you can make these videos pop way much more, because there's a lot of people that I see that post clips and they're showing a large amount of their clip unnecessarily, and it's not getting to the point. It's very flat, there's no zoom ins. Even if they chuck in memes or text, it's still not doing nothing to the actual footage. And I think that's what you need to start implementing into your clips, because it just makes the viewer just more engaged. Really, it makes them be like, whoa, that was funny. So he can see my face now, he can see my emotions and feelings of when I killed that guy. I made him laugh by doing that. These are the things that you need to start thinking about. Right guys, so final recap for today's video. So guys, you have a new piece of software, you have an editing software guys, it's called Shotcut, and it does the job. It's a good software and it is free. Okay, so you've also learned how you can start your own projects and get your clips into your project, and then you learn how to basically mark your in and outs on your clips and add them onto a timeline, and within the timeline you learn how to trim on either end to make sure that you know where the footage, where you want it to start and where you want it to end. You also learn how to use a filter called rotate and scale, and this was good for using scaling in or zooming into specific parts of your edit to make that video pop. Right, so before we wrap this up, there's one thing that I wanted to sort of get across. I wasn't going to do it today, but I think it's important that you guys know how to export and save your stuff. because you're probably going to get into Shotcut straight away and start cutting up your own footage, but you won't know how to export or have this file to use for your... Once you've done your edit and it's all down here on your timeline, that's sweet, that's all cushy. What you want to do is you want to come up to here where it says export, and you're going to pop on this and then just click the advanced tab. So this is your video, your codec, your audio. Okay, so you want to make sure that your video resolution is what you've recorded at, basically. So if you've done 720p, make sure that it's at like 720p. If you've done 920 by 1080, make sure it's on 920 by 1080. In the codec, sorry, there's loads of different formats that you can choose from, but for me, I use this, the libx264. It works and uploads to like YouTube, and the file size is at a good size. It's not such a big size. If you don't know much about codecs, you can always just research them, but yeah, this one is sort of standard, and this is one that most people use, x264. So the rate of control here, I always put constant bitrate, so I advise you guys to use constant bitrate too. So okay guys, now your bitrate, so mine is set to 12 megabytes. Usually, I mean, it depends really. If you're doing 1080p footage at 30 frames per second, you might want to be around like 20 megabytes or 18. If you're just doing a standard like a YouTube video where there's not much motion or gameplay footage, then you can probably lower this down to maybe around 10 megabytes and stuff, because there's not much motion. But it all depends on what you're working through, what you're editing. If you're doing gameplay like Call of Duty or Warzone, then yeah, there's going to be a lot of motion, so I say around 18 megabytes might be suffice. So we'll whack it on 18 meg. Okay, and the last thing that we needed to sort of discuss here is the GOP. So with the GOP, a rule of thumb is if you go to your video tab and your frames per second, it's normally half of what your FPS is. So half of what your frames per second is. So ours is 60, for example. So in this video, we're going to say it to 30. And yeah guys, once that is all done, I don't really play around with the audio settings. Once that's done, I hit export file. It'll ask you where you want it to export, and then you could put it here like YouTube training, and then I'll click save. And then what will happen is in the top right hand corner, it will start to export your file into where... Yeah guys, so once it's finished exporting, you'll see it appear in the directory that you've chosen, and we'll just double click to see. And you'll see guys, this is what we sort of just cut up quickly and edited. What? Again? Nice. Quick pop and zoom in, much better. Silly boy. You are not for Wakanda. Okay, right guys, so yes, that is the first video on our basic editing guide. I hope you enjoyed that video and you've learned something from this video. Guys, if you can, I advise you go and download this software. Like I said, the link's going to be in the bio of this video, and give it a go for yourself. Your next clips that I want to see you posting on your social medias, your Instagram, TikTok, whatever it is, try and use Shotcut, see how it works for you. So guys, in the next video, I'm going to be touching on how we can implement audio and sound effects onto our footage to make it even stand out even more, and how we can add graphics onto our content. These are just more techniques that's going to make your content pop and separate you from the others. Right guys, if you got any questions, go and leave them in the comments and I will reply to you. Alright, it's your boy ToonGaming, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace guys.